Hey everybody, wake up. This is Wake Up with Mark Joyner, episode number 106. And today I will reveal the machine code to reboot your life. All right, so I just finished my morning routine, kind of part of how I reboot myself every day in a sense. But let us ask this question. Do you actually get to reboot yourself completely every day? Do you get a fresh start every day? In a sense, yes, and in a sense, no. I mean, every day you can wake up and you can choose to live your life a particular way, but you still have to own the residual effects of what you have done up to that point. You can't just wake up one morning and then undo all of the Twinkies and Ho-Hos that you have been eating for the last 30 years. It's going to take some time. And there are residual effects of what you have been doing to your body and what you have been doing to your mind. The Twinkies and Ho-Hos that you have been eating in your mind in the form of inane entertainment and propaganda disguised as news and what have you, and just, the wrong information and being around the wrong people who have the wrong priorities. These are little programs running around in your mind, and it is going to take time to undo the effects of those. Let's look at this as sort of a imperfect metaphor. Let's imagine this is a computer, okay, and you can reboot the computer every day when you wake up, right? But all of the programs and the operating system and all of that that's been there for a long time is still there. When you hit the reboot switch, it doesn't all go away. Now, if you want to reprogram the computer, it's going to take a little bit of time. You got to get in there. And if you can't download the program, you might have to write it. Some of this reprogramming is going to be more difficult than others. Some habits are easy to undo. Some are very, very hard to undo. Some we don't even know yet how to undo, but you may figure out a way to do it. Now, let's look at this from another couple of angles here. Maybe there's a hard reboot switch, and that happens when we die. Maybe there's the hard reboot switch, and then we, come online again in another life. Who knows? Who knows? Nobody knows for sure. We have all sorts of religious theories. We have philosophical theories. Nobody really knows, even though there are a lot of people out there who will tell you authoritatively that they know for sure. I don't know how they can know that. Personally, I think we're probably born again. That's what my experience from meditation and whatnot has taught me. I could be totally wrong. I'm open to being totally wrong, but we don't get that hard reboot switch until that point. We still have to deal with the hardware that we're dealing with and with the software that we're dealing with. Now, let's talk about one way that people fail to reboot on a day-to-day basis. If you have been running your past programs in your mind in your sleep and you're not allowing yourself to just let everything go at nighttime and heal yourself and then wake up brand new, it's basically like you left the computer running all night and you don't get any of the benefits of the reboot. So what you've got to do at nighttime is you've got to let everything go. You got to actually shut down, properly shut down. You're not shutting down probably at night. In fact, you're probably, running some very, very unhealthy programs. You're probably worrying about things. That's what most of us do at night. One of the reasons why most of us have trouble sleeping at night, especially these days in these artificial environments that we find ourselves in. Now, another way that you can do this is you can do sort of like a soft reset. With Simpleology, one of the tools that we use is this thing called the dream catcher. So as thoughts, ideas, and to-dos come to mind, you drop them into the dream catcher. You can send text messages to it. You can send emails to it. We have apps that you can use to send information to it. You can do it on your computer. You can do it from almost anywhere, as long as there's an internet connection. What that does is it sends a signal to your brain to unload that information from conscious memory. Now, what does that give you? What that gives you is, what we popularly call or colloquially call closure. If you ever had a bad breakup with someone and there were unresolved issues and you think, man, I really need to get closure on that. I have all these unanswered questions. Well, what do? You have to go talk to that person and then get it out of your system. You got to get those questions answered. And then it unloads that stuff from conscious memory. Now, the problem is we're running around with all kinds of stuff loaded into our conscious memory, and we have a hardwired limit for how much information we can process in conscious memory. So if we don't unload it, what happens is we are walking around and we are functioning with less and less of our physical capacity. All right. So if you drop it into the dream catcher, it sends a signal to the brain. The brain knows, next time you do start my day, which is another tool we have inside Simpleology, it knows that you're going to do something intelligent with that. You're going to make a decision about it. So it says, okay, I know we're going to do something about this later. We can unload it from conscious memory now. And now you have these mental resources freed. And we think that it actually boosts your IQ. There's a lot of evidence to support that unloading things from conscious memory and allowing your full working memory capacity to be available will actually give you a hard IQ boost. And it makes perfect sense because it means that it's almost like, popping new RAM chips into your computer. What happens when you pop new RAM chips into your computer? Your computer performs better. Now, what happens when you have a whole bunch of windows open in your machine? If you have too many windows open, your computer starts to slow down and it starts to come to a crawl, then it eventually crashes. Now, this is what happens to our minds when we don't unload these programs in conscious working memory. So, can you reboot your life? Yes, but you have got to do several things. You got to make sure that you give yourself a hard reset, well, at least a soft reset or a reboot every night before you go to sleep. You got to let go of all that stuff. Throughout the day, you've got to be dumping stuff into your dream catcher so that your working memory is operating at its full capacity. And you've got to understand that every day you are still dealing with the residual effects of all of the physical and mental programming that you have been putting yourself through up to that point. Okay, so you can restart again today, but you've got to use the right tools, and it might take you some time to undo the mental and physical programming of the past. Now, if you ask me, this is the most worthwhile endeavor you can involve yourself in. Starting today, starting to reprogram your mind, starting to reprogram your body. You reprogram your mind with the things that you think, the things that you expose yourself to, the things that you do. Habitualization is one way that we program ourselves. If you catch yourself doing any of the wrong stuff, stop and do the right thing. Okay, yes, it's not going to be easy in the beginning because we are pattern forming machines in a sense. We are pattern forming machines. And if we keep doing the same pattern over and over and over again, that pattern becomes easier and easier for us to execute. Okay, now in neurological terms, they refer to this as the phenomenon of myelination, right? So there are these myelin sheaths on, I believe, the dendrites, right? And, the stronger the myelination is, the easier it is for us to do something. And so how does the mind rewire itself? Well, it knows that if we do something over and over again, we need to get more and more efficient at it. This is why practice works. Problem is, most of us are practicing the wrong thing. Now, most of us also feel hopeless when we get to this point. We think, well, those habit patterns are ingrained. Well, you can choose right now to start undoing those habit patterns. And the beauty is that while it's hard in the beginning, it will get easier over time because the new pattern will start to become your new set point, and it will become easier and easier and easier because the brain goes, this is what you need to be. Okay, so we're going to make it easier for you to be this. We're going to take our resources and put all of them to bear on the job of making ourselves anew. Make yourself who you want to be. All right, guys, you have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow.